Let's stop kidding ourselves. When your bank balance hits zero, the first thing that disappears is your authority at home. If you think this video is going to tell you that love is beautiful even on a crust of bread, close it right now because you're still stuck in childhood fantasies. In this section, I'm going to expose a truth hidden among unpaid bills. A financial crisis reveals the true nature of your power. I've experienced the pain of how, when I was broke, my misplaced anger or pathetic silences showed my partner that I was controlled by circumstances, not the master of them. I learned that while the currency might fluctuate, the value of your word must not rise and fall with your bank balance. If you don't learn how to maintain stability and your partner's psychological security in the midst of poverty and pressure, they will no longer see you as a support, but as dead weight. You're about to learn how to remain a commander even in the depths of a crisis. Step into the unseen. Welcome to the ultimate masterclass in decoding the female mind. The psychology of money and emotional security, why market fluctuations reach the bedroom. Hello to our vigilant followers. Today we are going to talk about a topic that may not seem romantic at first glance, but lies at the root of more than half of divorces and emotional collapses. Money. But not just money itself, rather the psychology of survival in times of crisis. In February 2026, we live in a world where momentary fluctuations in the prices of the dollar, gold, and coins have become a part of our daily anxiety. When tech news speaks of job replacement by artificial intelligence, it is not just an economic headline, it is a tremor in the pillars of family psychological security. We want to know why, when a man's pocket becomes empty or his capital in the Forex market is endangered, the first victim is the woman's peace at home. From the perspective of evolutionary psychology, a man unconsciously ties his existential value to his power of provisioning. When the macroeconomic conditions fall apart, the man experiences a sense of social castration. He feels he is no longer that security-creating hero. This sense of inadequacy manifests as displaced aggression. A man who has lost money in the stock or gold market when he comes home loses his temper at the slightest provocation. My psychological critique of this behavioral type is that men translate their economic suffering into the language of anger, while women are looking for the language of honesty. In such conditions, a woman is more concerned about losing her emotional support than the bank account balance. She sees the man who was always her refuge now becoming a source of insecurity himself. In the layered analysis of this crisis, we must pay attention to the phenomenon of transfer anxiety. When a man carries the entire mental pressure of currency fluctuations alone and does not have a transparent dialogue with his wife about the challenges, the woman is placed in an information vacuum. This vacuum is filled with fear. The woman thinks to herself, "Things must be much worse than what I see." This is where the woman's controlling behaviors begin, and the man interprets this as nagging. Where financial complexities have reached their peak, male financial silence is the most toxic behavior in a relationship. You think you are protecting her by not telling her the problems, but you are actually excluding her from the circle of empathy. Male pride should not prevent you from saying, "Honey, the gold and dollar market was not good for us today, and I am under a bit of pressure. I just need you to be by my side." Continuing our psychological investigation of this crisis, we must address one of the deepest gender differences in facing financial challenges, the paradox of silence and security. From a layered analysis perspective, when a man suffers a loss in the currency, gold, or real estate markets, or his job security is threatened by the lightning-fast advancement of AI, he instinctively enters his cocoon. Men in financial crises tend toward intellectual isolation. They think that by remaining silent and solving the issue alone, they are practicing sacrifice and protecting the family. But this is exactly the point where the first blow is struck at the root of the woman's pride and trust. Why? Because in feminine psychology, ignorance equals disaster. When you, as the man of the house, go to bed at night with a distorted face and eyes fixed on the ceiling, and in response to your wife's question, "Is something wrong?" you only say, "Nothing, I just have a lot of work." You are planting the seeds of paranoia in her mind. Where she is constantly surrounded by negative news of inflation and dollar price fluctuations through technology and social media, she interprets your silence as the collapse of the entire life. She thinks, if things are so bad that he can't even talk about it, then we are on the verge of destruction. My psychological critique is that men, with their heroic silence, actually weaken the woman's psychological anchor. A woman doesn't need you to solve all the problems. She needs to know where she stands on this crisis map. Let's peel back the deeper layer. Self-esteem tied to assets. In modern lifestyle culture, unfortunately, a man's value is often measured by his purchasing power. When the price of coins and gold jumps unpredictably, and the family's financial plans, for example, for a tourism trip or buying a new device, fall through, the man feels shame. This shame is the most toxic male emotion. A man who is ashamed cannot act lovingly. He cannot embrace his wife because he feels he is unworthy of this love, because he failed to provide the desired welfare. This is a massive cognitive error. Psychological interpretation tells us that in financial crises, women need your emotional and mental presence more than they need your money, to believe that even if everything is lost, we still remain. Radical transparency is the only way out. When a woman is aware of the reality of the gold and dollar figures, she automatically and voluntarily takes over consumption management and does this with love, not compulsion and fear. In this stage of deconstructing relationships in financial crisis, we must address a hidden explosive point: the difference in risk perception between men and women. From the perspective of financial psychology, men and women do not look at fluctuations in the dollar and gold markets in the same way. For a man who is grappling with new concepts like cryptocurrencies and high-risk markets, money is a tool for superiority and victory. But for a woman, money is a tool for security and stability. When these two perspectives collide in a home under economic pressure, we witness a war of attrition of priorities that can sever all emotional ties. My psychological critique of men at this stage is that they often mistakenly assume their wives lack economic understanding. When your wife, in the midst of a financial crisis and the loss of your capital value in the coin market, insists on an expense for a small gathering or a minor change in lifestyle, she is not looking for extravagance. She is looking to maintain signs of life and normality in the relationship. The woman, in her subconscious, fears that if all windows of pleasure are closed because of the dollar price, the soul of the relationship will die. In contrast, the man, who is preoccupied with survival and loss recovery, interprets these requests as inconsideration. This misunderstanding is the root of many bitternesses. You must learn to ask yourself, instead of getting defensive, what emotional meaning does this expense have for her? In the current era, where technology and AI have significantly accelerated the speed of life, we do not have enough time for discharging financial stresses. The man of the house spends the whole day with worrying figures and news of global market crashes, and when he returns home, instead of being a husband, he becomes a mobile calculator. This is where the red line of attention is broken. A woman's pride is damaged when she feels that her value in your mind is less than a 1% fluctuation in the price of gold. If you spend the whole night checking your phone's financial charts and don't take even a deep look into the tired eyes of your wife, you are effectively telling her that my economy is more important than your feelings. This behavior triggers a premature, emotional bankruptcy. Radical transparency is the only way to save the trust in such volatile times. We have reached the final station of this deep deconstruction. We now know how male silence, female fear, and conflicting priorities during a financial crisis act like a corrosive acid. But now it is time to ask, how can we prevent this destruction? In the psychology of family systems, there is a concept called shared resilience. This means that couples must learn to see the financial crisis caused by the price of the dollar and gold not as an internal war between themselves, but as a common external enemy. When you and your wife fight in one front against poverty or crisis, every blow you take from the outside can strengthen your bond, provided you have a common language. The first and most vital strategy in 2026 is separating individual value from the financial balance sheet. As a man, you must consciously practice that if you failed today in coin transactions or tech-based projects, you are still the same worthy, kind, and intelligent man your wife relies on. My psychological critique of men of this era is that they auction off their self-esteem along with the fall of their assets. To save the relationship, you must separate human identity from economic position. The home must be the only place where the price of currency has no credit, and the value of individuals is measured by the currency of loyalty and affection. Strategic Action Plan and Financial Peace Protocol for recording. The Venting Protocol. Once a week, without the presence of children or the distraction of technology and mobile phones, sit down and just talk about your financial fears. Let your wife say which part of the future she fears, and you, without censorship, talk about the weight of the burden of provisioning. In psychology, this expression of fear alone discharges 50% of the psychological pressure of the crisis. Redefining pleasure. When the household budget shrinks due to dollar price inflation, you shouldn't eliminate pleasure. You should redefine it. If pleasure used to be in expensive tourism trips, now find it in a long walk or a simple home-cooked dinner. This sends the message, our happiness is not tied to our money. Radical transparency. Never, under any circumstances, hide financial losses. Hiding things doubles the woman's anxiety. When you inform her of the reality of the gold market, you are actually respecting her and accepting her as a mature partner. This makes her a crisis manager instead of a plaintiff. Final atmosphere. Review. Dear friends, remember that we live in an era where AI and global market fluctuations change the game every day. But one thing has remained constant throughout history. The human heart needs security, not just wealth. The price of the dollar and gold might lower the ceiling of your house, but it should not tear down the walls of your affection. A real man is not one who never loses money, but one who has the courage to stay and fight. Don't let numbers redefine the authenticity of your relationship. In episode 20, we will dive into the controversial topic of the psychology of jealousy. How to turn this destructive giant into a tool for strengthening the relationship.